Hi, I'm Ursula Darby. I'm a public speaker, a certified grief educator, and a psychic medium. And I've been on the front line of grief, spirit, and survival for over 21 years. And I'm also a former stand-up comedian. This podcast tells the truth about this work, how it started for me, what it's really like, and the parts that no one will say aloud. I'm a skeptic. I hate cliches and the garbage that is in this industry. You won't get that here. Welcome back. This is episode 7. And in episode 6, I talked about the friend that had gifted me, the so-called psychic friend, and her friend had gifted me a reading with a well-known psychic, and the how upset I was, what the fallout was. And they wouldn't possibly know what the fallout was for me because I didn't tell them anything about what was happening to me. Because you and I both know, as you listen to me, that they weren't safe people. So certainly took a big curve and a turn for me. And I had that well-known psychic's number and their contact information, so I kind of kept that in my back pocket. I didn't really do much with it, and I didn't really take it seriously, and I did because I was curious about my own experiences. I was curious about what was happening to me, and I wanted to understand myself, which you all know. And so I felt very conflicted about it because, hey, my friends are just like, she clearly got it wrong. She got it wrong with you. It was the so-called psychic. It was obviously her that they were talking about. But let's be clear, she didn't tell the so-called psychic that she was skilled and offered her personal number. It was me. It was me that she offered her personal number to and her contact information to say that she wanted to mentor me, to help me and to help me understand myself and my experiences. Moving from there, I had moved. I had decided to go back to college and as an older student, and I decided to study massage therapy. And I it was something that appealed to me because I wanted to help and support people. And I knew that there might be a conflict, right? Like something in the way, maybe my own experiences that could possibly change that. But at the same time, I was still skeptical about things that were happening to me. And I'm like, no, it's no big deal. Like I could just ignore it. It's who really cares? And so moving forward, I started practicing, like I said, I started practicing giving readings. I started offering readings to people. And I started to do it on a much more consistent basis. And I mentioned to you before that, or I mentioned in previous episodes, that I had met multiple spiritual teachers and not just the ones that I talked about. There was other ones outside of that. And when I met them, there is this, and this is what I want you to know. When I met them, there was this idea kind of put into my head that is known throughout spiritual communities or psychic intuitive classes, courses, whatever, that if you were someone who wanted to improve upon their intuition, to develop their intuition, that that psychic or intuitive information was supposed to just quote unquote come to you. It was just supposed to land with you. It was just going to be there for you. And in the industry at the time, with what I saw from my perspective, was first of all, if I haven't said this, I was awed and amazed by people that demonstrated intuitive ability. Anyone that I saw on TV, anyone that if there was something in the newspaper saying, oh, this psychic helped with this investigation, this criminal investigation, or like I said, there weren't a lot of books, but I did start to read them. The sensationalism was alive and well within me, where I was like, wow, look at what these people can do. And I was in awe of these people. I put them on a pedestal above me. I was just like, I can't do that. There's no way. And I just like look at how they're working. Like there's no way that I could do any of this kind of stuff. And I felt really beneath other intuitives. Because I didn't consider myself intuitive, right? That's seems strange to say, and I'm probably going to repeat that 1,000 times that. I looked up to these people. I had a reverence for these people. These people just like the celebrity psychics if that they were out there or and I'm not going to name them off because you can think of different people, not present, but I mean we're looking at I don't know, 90s, early 2000s. And I really had this perspective of like, wow, like how does this happen? Like how does this transpire? And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know what that mechanism was. I didn't know how that happened. I didn't know what it took to perceive intuitive information. And in the industry, when you met people in it, whether it was at a psychic fair, whether it was at a spiritual store, um, meeting all different people everywhere, like those are basically, or like a crystal store, things like that, that you, that there was always this space between you and them, that space of, I know what I'm doing. I'm the professional that's here. I'm going to tell you what that means. I'm going to tell you what this looks like. I'm going to tell you how that happens. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you. Or they would solicit you for readings when you walked into their store, which you did. Yeah, I'm very opinionated on this. So before jumping ahead, there was this, like they would put themselves on a pedestal themselves. It's odd, right? You're just like, okay, you know some stuff. Cool. And I felt confused by it. And when I started to share bits and pieces of my experiences with these people, and there was a lot of them, well, that's an endless number of them, the first thing that they would say was, that doesn't happen. Those kinds of things don't happen. You're making that up. You're lying about that. You don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue. And you know what? In fact, you have a block. You have a block within you. There's a block within you that you need to discover what it is. You need to figure out what your problem is. You need to figure what's getting in your way because clearly you're not a spiritual person. You're not intuitive. You're not doing dot, 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 whatever those things were. And you're not skilled, you're not talented. You don't know what you're talking about. And I was only like slipping out little bits and pieces of things to people saying, I feel this way, or I'm hearing things like this, or I'm like I said, I'm feeling this way, or I'm hearing these things. And that was the ongoing response. The ongoing response was, you're blocked, you have a problem. You figure out what that block is and that problem is, and you come back to me and tell me what it is. The fuck? Fuck you. I can say that now. But at that time, I felt vulnerable. I felt exposed. I was trying to find a way to understand myself. And these people, the endless number of people, I was always getting the same response. So I was thinking, maybe I am the problem. Like maybe this stuff isn't real. And that's the place I stayed in for most of my life. And so when that well-known psychic said to me, you're a very skilled psychic, I want to help you. I was like, you're full of shit. Honestly, that's what I said, and which and I didn't believe her. I didn't believe any of that. So when I started giving these readings and started to practicing the things in the book that I talked about, that those tests and things that I practiced or things that I went through, they worked. Majority of the time, I was just like, oh, I'm on track. I've got this. And it was unbelievable to me. When I decided to go to massage therapy school, I moved. I moved into an apartment in my parents' home. And because that would help me financially and to go to college and to be able to support myself and get through the program and, graduate and off I go as a registered massage therapist. The very first night that I moved into the apartment, climbed into bed, and I felt that feeling. I felt that presence and I froze. And I waited. I waited listening for anything because I was still scared. And I heard footsteps clear as day coming down the hallway towards me. And they were thuds. It was a thud on the floor. It wasn't someone padding across the floor in socks or slippers. It wasn't that. It was like a very big person who was intentionally stepping on the floor and using their weight to make that sound. And I heard stop, 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 stop. And my door opened to my bedroom. And it felt like a man. I didn't see any, I don't even think I opened my eyes, to be honest. He stomped across the floor to my bed and he used his weight to shove my mattress of my bed across my bed on an angle. I was terrified. I didn't move. I didn't do anything. I remember waking up the next morning and feeling disoriented, very, very, very scared. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anyone to call. And I wasn't going to call this person, the well-known psychic. I wasn't going to call them. Because like I said, there were so many experiences where people are just like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was just like, I can't handle another answer like that. Those kinds of, I'm getting very upset. Those kinds of experiences happened nightly. Hearing people walking around, stomping, moving, talking to each other, doors opening and closing. My back door went out to a patio and it was a steel bolt lock. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard the lock turn and my back door opened and there was no one there. I remember getting up and seeing the door open and locking it. I live alone. There was no one in the yard, nothing. Then I started to hear a woman weeping. I heard a woman full on sobbing, and I heard her crying even in the daytime. And I didn't have experiences in the daytime like that were vivid. I remember washing the dishes and a woman crying and sobbing right beside me, like full on weeping, crying. And those experiences continued on and on and on. Of course, then I had a VHS player and it would eject the video and it would turn itself on when it was turned off. And when I hadn't been near it or touched it, that would happen in the daytime. Those experiences were the most visceral out of anything that I experienced to date. And feeling that man near me and hearing him, feeling his presence frequently was just, it was destabilizing. There was one night, right while I was falling asleep, I started hearing a dog growling. And my behind my bed headboard was the window to the alleyway. And so I turned and I looked and there was no dog there, nothing, no one's walking up and down, nothing, because it was lit by the building behind. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I lay down to sleep because I thought it was something from outside. And the growling continued, ongoing, getting louder and getting deeper and stronger. And it didn't calm and go away. It was getting worse. And it was beside me to the left of me, because I remember it was right near my pillow where I heard it. And it got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, oh my God. Because I didn't think anything of it at first. I was afraid to move because I didn't know what it was. I didn't look anywhere. I didn't do anything. I waited it out. I waited till it stopped. It must have gone on 15, 20 minutes, if not longer. Like this dog was about to attack me, snarling, growling, but there wasn't a dog in the room. They weren't comfortable experiences. It was really, really intense, frightening experiences. And I was scared most of my life, but this was different. This was like someone turned up the dial to 100 and said, "Oh, yeah, Ursula, fucking figure this one out." And I felt under attack. And what I started to do, and I'd done for years, but now this is really at the height of this, I internalized all of this because I didn't share with anyone. And what I told myself was that there must be something wrong with me. There must be something that I'm doing wrong. There must be something that I'm saying or doing that's bringing this to me. Because if you haven't heard, you manifest everything, right? Like anything you say, you manifest to bring to you. Anything that you talk about, you bring it to you. You make it show up in the presence of you. What a load of fucking shit. No, you don't. But I was like, this must be me. There must be something wrong with me. There must be something that and I felt attacked my whole life. I felt like I was targeted and I felt defeated because there was nothing that I could do to stop it. I had started reading about it. I had started trying to figure out what to do. And even, walking around saying, whatever's here, please leave me alone, like praying, trying to make all of this stop. And the more I tried to make it stop, the worse it got. And when I was giving readings, I was getting information about people that had passed. That's called mediumship. And I became more and more familiar with what mediumship was, but I still didn't understand the mechanics of it. I didn't understand how that showed up for me. And when you're hearing from people in this industry say, "Oh, well, I'm only the one that knows this. I'm the only one that can show you how to do this. I'm the only one that does these things. I'm really good at this because, I'm a seventh generational psychic. I'm a 20th generation, whatever generation psychic they were, So I believed all of those things. Like, well, if that's what it's your great grandmother, your grandmother, your great, you're like, who knows how many hundreds of years go back that this is in your family. Oh, you're this person, this family member could do this, that family member could do that, this. So, oh, it's in your family. It's, well, only you can, because I mean, I've got nothing. I don't know any of these kinds of things. And all of these stories and things that people would tell me, I would believe them because I wasn't able to stop these things. I wasn't able to interject it. I wasn't able to perceive it in the way others were like, "Oh, well, I just see spirit. They're just here." Like, "Oh, just, you see the woman here? She's standing here and no one's there." Like no one's like, there's no one can see this person. But this psychic is just like, "Oh, well, they're here and this is what they're wearing and this is what's happening with them and this is what they've just said to you." What? Like, what the fuck? What? I was confused. I was tired. I was frustrated. And I turned it all against me, just like others had done around me. Like, well, you must be blocked. And so I would search for what these blocks were. I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. But like blocked, maybe, maybe my pants are too tight. Maybe I'm not sleeping well. Maybe I'm not saying things that I need to say. I don't know. I didn't know what that meant. And no one explained it to me. No one said to me, well, this is how what you find a block is. And this is what a block means. No one was willing to do that to me. They were just saying to me, you have a block, figure it out and come back to me. And maybe I'll fucking help you. Okay. When I started massage therapy school, you're taking anatomy, physiology, pathology, And long before you're massaging anybody, you understand the mechanics of the body, the brain, like from a cell all the way up to, bones, body, blood, organs, how everything works. And a lot of people don't know that to the extent of what you're learning in school. And as I started to massage people, I started to notice things. And since I was trying to figure out how intuition worked, I was testing myself just like I'd read in the books, right? Like try this test, try that test, try this thing, try that, try all these different things to see what happens. And of course, if you haven't worked in hospitality, I have for many years, and I was a waitress or server, whatever you want to call it. And I would test myself at a table. I would be like, okay, maybe I can guess what they're gonna know. Like maybe I'll be able to read them, guess them, and know these things. And that would start happening. And it wasn't because if someone had told me, if they were first ordering, I'd introduce myself, this is what the menu is, here's the special, here's the things, and, can I get you some drinks? And I'd hear apple juice. And the first person would say, I'll have some apple juice. And I'd be like, shut up. And I wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't respond. I wouldn't let anyone know. And I started practicing in those kinds of ways as well and noticing that. And I was also on board with believing that hauntings were real at that time. And because I didn't even know what a haunting was, right? People would say like, oh, well, you know, when someone dies, wherever they die is where they'll end up being. And that's then they'll haunt that place or that area. That was kind of what I was told. And or, when you die, then you're going to haunt or spend time at a cemetery because that's where your body is in the ground. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense because that's where your body is, right? And or some people would talk because they were starting with paranormal shows, and so you'd watch a show. There's so many of them that I watched because I was fascinated, and I was like, maybe this is happening to other people. And they would you'd watch a show and that they'd film and say, oh, there's this shadow, or we've noticed this orb, or we've um, we've got sound devices. We're recording things. So we're recording disembodied voices. And so I believe that. And you would watch shows where people would have paranormal investigators come in. Of course, they're way, way popular now, but at the time it really wasn't. And so I was like, wow, like what do they do with this? Because that I'm like, oh, that's me. That's me. Mm-mm-mm. And when I was giving readings, I was picking up on people that had passed away. I was being shown them. I was hearing them. I was seeing them. But I didn't realize that's what I was doing. That's episode 7. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. And for more, I'd love if you would subscribe to my channel. You've been listening. You've been listening to me, Ursula Darby. And my podcast is called This is Ursula Darby. It's the raw truth about grief, spirit, and life with honesty, humor, and no bullshit.